2, 1. Welcome to OnlyHams, your channel for premium meat content and other food porn. My name is Rusty, and today I'm going to be making a ham from this. This is a 6-pound Boston butt, which is the upper part of a pork shoulder. You can get these without a bone, which I highly recommend if you want to slice your ham like a normal person. But just in case, here's me struggling to get the bone out with my sharpest knife. Now, full disclosure, I am no chef, I am no pit master, not even a butcher. I haven't even made a regular ham before that's pre-cooked. I'm just a guy in his mid-30s who's got a little too obsessed with this smoker during the lockdown. So when I say that this is an experiment, what I really mean is I'm more of a bull in a china shop, and if I can do it, so can you. Once the bone is removed from the situation, you can use that same knife to lightly score what's called the fat cap in a diamond-shaped pattern. Then use some kitchen twine to form your meat back into a loaf shape rather than a pizza. That's going to help keep everything together during the curing process. So, I've done some research on the internet about cured meats, and there's actually a couple ways to do it. But for ham, we're going to zero in on what's called a wet brine. That means that you're going to need to go to your local store and pick up a Tupperware that is BPA free, large enough for your meat, and also small enough to fit in your refrigerator. But we'll tackle this later. So for the brine ingredients, start with a saucepan and add a quart of water, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of kosher salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, a few slivers of orange peel with the pith or the white part carefully removed, and 1 cup of molasses. And while we're waiting on the molasses, let's talk about the most crucial ingredient for curing meat, which is pink curing salt number 1, aka prog powder, aka sodium nitrate. This is not pink Himalayan salt, trust me. There is a very specific amount that you'll need depending on the size and shape of your meat. I'll drop a link on where you can buy it and a calculator for how much you'll need for your meat in the description. After all that, make sure that your very specific measurement that we just talked about actually gets in the pot, unlike me. Bad Rusty. You don't need to boil this, by the way. Just heat it up long enough to dissolve all the sugars and salts, then mix that with a quart of cold water to cool it down before submerging your pork. Not too hot. Also, my Tupperware was a little too big, so I had to double everything and then check that calculator again for the curing salt. If your meat floats, that's an easy fix. Just grab a clean bowl or a plate to weigh it down. Then send your pride and joy to the basement fridge for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks in a brine, this is what your meat's gonna look like. The molasses has turned your meat this brownish color, but rest assured, once everything is done, the inside will resemble any other ham you've ever seen, and it's gonna taste better because you made it. Now, I never measure the ingredients for my rub because I really want you to make it your own by your taste. But just for reference, I'm using kosher salt, garlic powder, more garlic powder, black pepper, chipotle powder, whole mustard seeds, onion powder, and some brown sugar, but we forgot to film that, sorry. Mix together, then generously apply the rub to every nook and cranny that you can find. Seriously, this is a big piece of meat, don't skimp on the rub. Admire your work, give her a few love taps, and then send her off to the smoker at a range of 200 to 250 degrees. If you want to shoot for a more precise number, 225 degrees is the golden temperature when smoking meats. Slap that meat a couple more times cause, well, you gotta. Then come back to the kitchen so we can make a glaze for that ham. And again, I encourage you to make it your own. But for reference, I'm going to be using a 1/4 cup of Dijon mustard, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of honey, the zest from 1 orange, and the juice from half of that orange. Mix it together and you're done. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and once your ham reaches an internal temperature of 135 degrees, pull it out and generously apply that glaze. Set it in the oven for 15 minutes, then reglaze, then put it back in for another 15 minutes. After a minimum of 30 minutes rest from the oven, slice it up and serve it away. And here it is. She may look rough around the edges, but just take a look at the inside. Perfectly pink and packed full of juices. That's what you want. The orange peel in the brine has also permeated the meat and really does complement the brown sugar and honey in a way that you just have to try for yourself. I highly recommend serving this immediately after cutting it up. But if you want to make some pre-slices for some cold cuts, I wouldn't be mad at that either. All of the flavors from the glaze mixed with the rub and created this sticky, sweet, savory crust that makes for an insane contrast with the tender, juicy ham. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I had a lot of fun making this video, so likely I'll keep it going. And just so you know, I'm not always going to make a ham. So if you have any suggestions for the next one, let me know. Until next time.